Look who joined us, our dear friends and hosts of the new podcast, The Bookcase, Charlie Gibson, who needs no introduction, and his daughter, Kate. We're going to chat in just a moment, but first, we want to take a look at their literary adventure, Charlie, Kate, and her two kids visiting their favorite children's independent bookstore, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
Some mornings just start off on the wrong foot, like when you roll out of bed with gum in your hair and you trip on your skateboard, and by breakfast you want to move to Australia. Bad days like these, everyone's had them.
Something Judith Viorst knew when she was inspired by her youngest son and wrote Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Now 50 years since it was published, 4 million copies sold. It is still one of the most beloved children's books of all time.
So we organized a bad day focus group of sorts at my children's favorite bookstore, Wild Rumpus in Minneapolis, where they know a thing or two about catering to their kid clientele.
Couldn't help but notice there's a few animals in there.
There sure are.
What's your menagerie?
So we've got 2 cats, 2 chinchillas, and we have a cockatiel and a Barbary dove.
Our podcast highlights independent bookstores like this one all across the country.
Independent bookstores are cultural hubs. You're not going to get that from a big chain. This is where the community comes together to define what that community is and what it looks like and what our shared values are.
Every kid deserves to see themselves in books.
Don't let these cute faces fool you. My children, Charlie and Jack, have horrible days just like Alexander. Trust me.
Why do you think that book still resonates with kids after all these years?
It's universal. I mean, everyone's had a bad day. I think one of the joys of that book is that some of the bad things that happen are Alexander's fault, so they're the consequences of his actions, and I think kids even see that kind of thing.
This book was written before your moms and dads were born. It's 50 years old. 50 years old.
It's 50 years old.
50 years old.
How many of you have had terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days?
So with that, we began reading to our rapt audience. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia.
My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes.
It has been a terrible, horrible, no good,
very bad day.
very bad day. My mom says some days are like that.
You guys know the last line?
Even in Australia.
When you guys are having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, do you think going to Australia would help?
No. If you went to Australia, bad things could still happen to you.
What makes it a very bad day? Do you wake up in a bad mood sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes. It's usually because I'm tired.
And does that sort of change as the day goes on?
Once I drink coffee.
Can you guys tell when your parents or your caregivers are having a terrible, horrible, good, very bad day?
Yeah.
All right, how can you tell?
They're storming around the house, grumbling, getting angry at everything. My mom cries and I hear slamming. My mom's face goes really red and she uses her, I just got into an argument and I'm still angry voice.
You can tell from her voice.
So while their bad days may all look a bit different, there's a sense of optimism that all kids seem to share.
I feel like today he was just in a bad mood, but like, I bet tomorrow he's gonna be like having fun and just forget about this whole entire day.
And you won't be in Australia.
Yeah.
And yes, we're joined now by Charlie and Kate Gibson. Welcome.
Yeah!
Round of applause.
That's all we have to do to get applause. Okay. Sweet.
How many of the 4 of you have that book? Or have
Oh,
read it?
yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All of you.
And I gotta say, Kate, that was your daughter.
Yes.
Who was saying, you know, Mom, the red face, and she's angry. And we talked about how this book is 50 years old. How is it for you to share this book with your kids?
Well, first of all, I'm 46 years old and I'm still working on the emotional regulation that's discussed in this book.
Yes.
And my daughter calls me out on it all the time. She's had to pick me up from terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days. But I think, you know, in some ways she is more emotionally mature than I am. She always has been. But it's a great book. I think in some ways it's the first mental health book that kids
read.
Oh, it addresses all kinds of things for kids. It addresses jealousy. It addresses violence for kids. Michael, by the way, last time I saw you, you were in space. When did you get back?
that was in November. I think it was in November. And Charlie, I'm just happy I made it back.
They brought you back, yay.
Yes.
Anyway, it addresses all of those issues, and so it's a good learning experience as well as being funny.
Yes.
She really struck a chord with that book 50 years ago.
Yes.
Let's talk about the podcast now. It's so great to see the two of you doing this together. The next episode actually drops today.
The podcast, the bookcase with Kate and Charlie?
Exactly, yes. The bookcase.
With Kate and Charlie.
Exactly.
How nice of you to bring it up.
And the next episode drops today. Speaking of that, a conversation with David Koepp. People might not recognize this author's name, but they definitely know his work. Mission Impossible, the screenwriter behind Jurassic Park. What was that conversation like?
Well, it was interesting. We wanted to, first of all, he's a terrific guy, married to somebody who used to work for Good Morning America, so he's got to be,
a good guy.
That puts him in the good column. But we were really interested in that he's written a novel, which is one of those sort of apocalyptic, the world may come to an end because of this plot. But the difference in discipline in writing a novel and writing a screenplay really interested me. As he said, in a screenplay, you worried about what a character says and does. And in a novel, you worry about what a character thinks and feels. It's a very different kind of writing that they have to do. He does both of them very well, but I was really interested in talking to him about how the different disciplines come into play.
Yeah, us too. So good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We're having
Love
a
you,
great time.
Charlie. And yes, it's going to be a very good day now that you were here.
Oh,
I mean it. It streams everywhere right now, the bookcase. Get the QR code on the bottom of your screen. Download it for free wherever you listen to podcasts. New episodes are released every Thursday. Charlie Gibson, hardest working man in the world of podcasts.
Are we done?
Yes.
That's it?
Yes, that's it.
That's it. 3 minutes and we're out.
Yeah, no more 2 hours
Your
for
trip
you.
in space Your trip in space lasted longer.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.